The document is opened. The cursor is blinking. You know exactly what you are supposed to do, and yet somehow, checking your phone feels strangely urgent. You tell yourself you'll only look for a minute. One notification becomes 3. Then you open another app, then another tab. Maybe you get up to make coffee. You notice something on the desk that needs cleaning. Suddenly, reorganizing your entire workspace feels like a very reasonable use of your time. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you know what's happening. You're avoiding the thing you actually need to do. The strange part is that you don't necessarily hate the task. You might even care deeply about finishing it. You may have been thinking about it all morning. So why does starting feel so difficult? Because procrastination often begins before the work itself. It begins with a feeling. The task looks too large, too boring, too uncertain, too difficult. Maybe you are worried you won't do it well. Maybe you don't know exactly where to begin. And your brain notices that discomfort before you ever write the first word. Then it offers you an escape. Your phone, a snack, a video, a completely unnecessary email. Anything that gives you a small feeling of relief right now, instead of making you deal with something uncomfortable. And this is where the idea of tricking your brain becomes interesting. Because what if you don't actually need to force yourself to become more disciplined? What if you could change the conditions around the task so that starting no longer feels like such a big psychological event? Imagine sitting in front of that same document. The deadline hasn't changed. The work hasn't magically become exciting. But instead of telling yourself, I have to finish this entire report, you make a much smaller request. Open the document. That's it. Not finish it, not work for 3 hours, not become productive for the rest of the day. Just open it. That sounds almost absurdly easy, and that's exactly the point. When a task feels enormous, the brain doesn't necessarily experience it as one simple action. It can experience it as an entire chain of demands. Think about writing a report, research, organize your thoughts, write, edit, check everything, make it good, and send it. When all of that exists in your mind at once, start the report can feel much heavier than those 3 words suggest. So, shrink the first action until there is almost nothing left to resist. Open the document, type the title, write 1 sentence, read the last paragraph. Put the first file on the desk. The goal is not to trick yourself into believing the task is easy. The goal is to remove the psychological argument that happens before you begin. Because sometimes the hardest part isn't doing the work. It's crossing the distance between not doing it and starting. And once you cross that distance, something interesting often happens. The task feels different, not necessarily enjoyable, just less threatening. The blank page is no longer completely blank. The untouched spreadsheet now has 1 cell filled, the book is open, the shoes are on. The first step has already happened, and that changes the mental picture. But there are another reason people struggle to begin. Sometimes the problem isn't the size of the first step, it's the size of the commitment. Imagine someone tells you, you need to study for 3 hours tonight. Even if you have enough time, your mind may immediately react with resistance. 3 hours feels like something being taken from you. Now imagine the instruction is different. Study for 5 minutes. That feels completely different. 5 minutes doesn't sound like a prison sentence. It sounds temporary. You don't have to promise yourself you'll finish. You don't even have to promise you'll feel motivated. You are simply agreeing to begin for a small amount of time. And this works because you are changing the decision your brain has to make. Instead of asking, do I want to spend my entire evening doing this? You're asking, can I tolerate doing this for 5 minutes? Those are psychologically very different questions. And once you begin, you may discover that continuing is easier than starting was. Sometimes 5 minutes becomes 20, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. The point of the experiment was never to guarantee 3 hours of productivity. It was to prove something more important. You can begin without feeling ready. That distinction matters, because many people unconsciously wait for a particular feeling before they act. They wait to feel motivated, focused, inspired, energetic, and confident. But feelings are unreliable starting signals. You can feel completely unmotivated and still open the document. You can feel anxious and still write the first sentence. You can feel tired and still put your phone across the room. Action doesn't always follow motivation. Sometimes motivation follows action. But then there's the phone. Because even when you've made the task smaller and the commitment shorter, there may still be something sitting beside you, offering an immediate reward. One tap, instant entertainment. Someone else's message, a new video, a new piece of information, a tiny reward with almost no effort. Meanwhile, the task in front of you may offer nothing immediately. You have to work first. The reward comes later. That's an unfair competition. And blaming yourself for losing that competition isn't particularly useful. Your environment is constantly influencing what feels easy to choose. If your phone is beside your hand and your difficult task is buried underneath 10 steps of preparation, you're asking yourself to repeatedly choose the harder option. You can make that battle easier. Put the phone in another room, turn off unnecessary notifications, close the tabs you don't need, block distracting websites while you work. Leave the document open before you go to bed. Put the materials you need directly in front of you. Remove the tiny obstacles that give your mind an excuse to leave. This is environmental design, and its basic idea is surprisingly simple. Don't rely entirely on willpower to defeat a distraction that your environment keeps presenting to you. If something repeatedly pulls your attention away, change the environment instead of repeatedly fighting the same battle. You are not trying to create a perfect environment. You're simply making the behavior you want slightly easier, and the behavior you don't want slightly harder. And once you start thinking this way, another possibility appears. What if you don't only remove rewards from distraction? What if you add a small reward to the behavior you're trying to begin? Maybe you always make a particular coffee before studying. Maybe you listen to music while cleaning. Maybe you create a comfortable workspace before writing. Maybe you allow yourself to listen to a favorite podcast while walking. The point isn't to turn every unpleasant task into entertainment. It's to create a more pleasant emotional association with beginning. Imagine two versions of the same evening. In the first, you think, I have to study. Immediately, the task feels heavy. In the second, you think, I'm going to make my coffee, put on my headphones, sit somewhere comfortable, and study for 5 minutes. The studying hasn't changed, but the emotional doorway into the activity has. That matters because procrastination isn't always about avoiding the work itself. Sometimes you're avoiding the feeling you associate with the work. So, if you can make the beginning calmer, easier, or slightly more rewarding, you reduce some of the resistance attached to it. And this brings us to something deeper. Because after you use these techniques for a while, something starts changing that has very little to do with productivity. Your self-image begins to change. Maybe you've spent years saying, I'm a procrastinator. You say it casually, almost like it's part of your personality. I'm always late. I'm terrible at staying focused. I never finish anything. At first, those statements might simply describe your behavior. But repeated often enough, they can become part of the story you tell yourself about who you are. And once you believe the story, your behavior can start fitting it. If you're a procrastinator, then avoiding the task feels predictable, expected, almost normal. But imagine replacing that identity with something much smaller, not, I'm incredibly disciplined. Not, I never procrastinate, just, I'm someone who starts. That is a much more useful identity, because you don't have to prove it with some enormous achievement. You prove it with tiny pieces of evidence. You open the document when you don't feel like it. You work for 5 minutes, you put the phone away, you write 1 paragraph, you begin before you feel ready. Each action becomes evidence. Not evidence that you are perfect, evidence that the old story isn't the whole story. And this is where the real transformation happens. You stop trying to become someone who never procrastinates. Instead, you become someone who knows what to do when resistance appears. You notice the feeling. You don't immediately obey it. You make the first step smaller. You reduce the commitment. You change the environment. You make the beginning more pleasant, and then you start. Not because you suddenly became a different person, because you stopped making the beginning harder than it needed to be. Think back to the person sitting in front of that document. At the beginning, the cursor was blinking. The phone was nearby. The task felt enormous, and every distraction seemed more attractive than starting. Now imagine the same person again. The deadline hasn't disappeared. The report is still difficult. But the phone is in another room. The document is already open. The only instruction is to write 1 sentence, not the whole report, 1 sentence. So they write it, and for a moment, Nothing dramatic happens. No burst of inspiration, no magical transformation, just one sentence, then another, and that is the part people often miss. Change rarely begins with a dramatic decision. Sometimes it begins with making one action so small that resistance has nothing convincing to say. You don't need to trick your brain into loving difficult work. You need to understand what your brain is responding to. When a task feels overwhelming, shrink it. When the commitment feels enormous, shorten it. When distraction is too rewarding, change the environment. When the task feels unpleasant, create a better beginning. And when you repeatedly act despite resistance, pay attention to the evidence you're creating about yourself, because you may have spent a long time waiting for motivation to arrive before you begin. But sometimes beginning is what creates the motivation. The feeling doesn't have to come first. The action can come first. And maybe that is the most useful way to think about procrastination. You don't need to become a person who never avoids anything. You don't need perfect discipline. You don't need to win every battle against distraction. You simply need to get better at beginning. So, before you leave this video, choose one thing you've been avoiding. Don't finish it. Don't solve your entire life. Just make the first action smaller. Open the file. Write the first sentence. Read one page. Put the phone away. Set the timer for 5 minutes, then begin. Because the goal isn't to become someone who never procrastinates. The goal is to become someone who knows how to start. And every time you start, even when you don't feel ready, you're giving yourself a new piece of evidence. Maybe you're not the person who can't get things done. Maybe you've simply been making the beginning too difficult. And once you learn how to make the beginning easier, you may discover something quietly powerful. You were never waiting for the perfect moment to become disciplined. You were waiting for a first step small enough to take